Hello and welcome to Intro to Humanities, or HUMS 151G. My name is Natalie Daniels and I am your instructor for this course. So a little bit about me. I have been teaching here at LCCC since the fall of 2015. I've taught English 061, 161, and 162. Before starting here at LCCC, I earned my Bachelor of Arts in Studio Art with a concentration in drawing from Cleveland State University in 2005. I worked in background screening for several years after I graduated college, and then decided to leave that behind and go back for my master's in English. I went to Tiffin University and I finished with a Master's of Humanities in English Literature in 2014. And here I've got a picture of me up here in the corner. I have a couple of pieces of artwork I've done recently. One is the painting of some birds, another is a picture of Central Park, and then a snapshot of my master's thesis. A little more about me. I'm a huge comic book nerd. I love the comic book movies. Marvel, personally, I think is really doing an awesome job with the films. DC has some work to do. Wonder Woman was pretty good though. In terms of the actual comic books, I've always been a huge DC fan since my earliest memories of comic books were, I think, when I was 4 years old. And DC has always been my go-to. I am originally an East Sider, but now I live in Lorain County. I have for about 3 years. I have a dog named Meatloaf. You can see a picture of me being crushed by him. I also have 2 cats. Cookie is the black and white cat, and Stella is the orange cat. I've been married for about 10 years, and I have hosted 2 foreign exchange students. Last year, my student was from Japan. This year, I have a student from Denmark, but she is actually leaving us shortly to return home to Denmark. So a little about the course. The humanities revolve around things like art and media. In this course, we are going to cover 2-dimensional art, 3-dimensional art, music and opera, literature, theater, cinema, and dance. And full disclosure here, when it comes to art, literature, and theater, I am your gal. I can talk about those things forever. Music, I am very much tone deaf. I know the terms. I like to listen to music, but this is probably my area that's a little weaker. So I'm hoping that I can get into it enough with the lectures to kind of make it come alive and give it its due when we get to those points in the course. And full disclosure, that's true of many instructors. A lot of people have very specific focus in which that they are a top authority in, and then there's one area that's related, but it's just very hard to connect with. And some of you might experience that too when discussing the humanities. I have friends who love music and they're fantastic musicians, but if you show them something by Vincent van Gogh, they kind of shrug their shoulders and say, that's nice. So some things you might really enjoy in the course, and some maybe not so much, and that's okay. So 8-week course, we have a lot to cover because we have to cover the same amount of material as a 16-week course. So to get through everything, we are going to have some video lectures where I'll create a PowerPoint like this. It may or may not have video of me in it. This is actually a new feature with my new computer. So some might have my face, some may not. We're going to cover lots of material via video, and if that doesn't work for you, don't panic. I will upload a PDF version of my PowerPoints as well, so if you prefer to have something that you can just print out and read at your own pace, it will be available. There is going to be some reading. Can't necessarily cover everything on my own, and we have a fantastic textbook that is used by all of the Intro to Humanities courses here at LCCC, and that is Reality Through the Arts by Dennis Spore. It has fantastic photographs, great links to outside resources, and a music list at the back. Don't worry about getting the recommended CD that's listed at the back of the book. We will have links for any music that I want you to listen to. Discussion boards, we're not meeting in person, so discussion boards are how we are going to account for things like attendance, work we would normally do in class, and discussions. You have to participate in discussion boards. That's very important. Don't disappear, don't ghost us for a while, because there will be consequences to that. And that is all spelled out in the course syllabus. Quizzes and tests. Oh my, this course I hope is going to be a lot of fun and very engaging, but I have to test your knowledge of the material. These are checkpoints for you to make sure you're understanding the content. The quizzes should be used as study guides for the tests, and the midterm is something that you can use as a study guide for the final. Quizzes and tests are all online. Projects. We have 2 essays and 1 photo journal for the course. The 2 essays, one will be at midterms, one will be closer to the final. And the photo journal is your big project for the whole class. I think that should actually be more fun than work. And if you're spending a little time each week of the semester, I think that will come along very nicely. Special note, earlier I mentioned that I do teach English here at LCCC, but no, it's not an English class. Yes, there is going to be some writing. It's online, so with discussion boards, you can't get away from that. But no, things like turning in rough drafts or outlines or asking for help developing your paragraphs, that's not what this course is for. Those are things that you do in an English course, not in a course like this. So, with all that said, I do expect that you maintain standard writing conventions and edit and proof your work. No, it's not an English class, but yes, I am hypersensitive to things like unclear wording, or all of your citations are missing, or everything is seriously disorganized. Take the time to edit, proof, revise your work. If you need to, go see a tutor. So I'm not necessarily grading your grammar, but if I can't read or understand what it is you are saying in your essays or in your photo journal or your discussion boards, that's going to have an impact on your grade. Presentation is important. Academic integrity. If you reference, borrow, use, quote from, etc., the work of someone else, you have to give that person or that source credit. In-text citations and works cited entries. On your major writing assignments, you have to have a works cited page. You will have to have in-text citations. Please keep this in mind. Don't forget to do that. This course is going to measure everything that you've learned and found and discovered. Essays are a great way to do that. But if you don't cite your work, you're going to end up in a little bit of trouble, because what happens is you commit plagiarism, and that is tantamount to stealing. And I spell this out for you in the syllabus. Please, 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 please cite your sources. If you aren't sure exactly how to cite, don't skip over it. Make an attempt. If you have a citation question, I will have resources available on campus. Use EasyBib. Go to the tutoring center. I will try to provide examples throughout the semester. I won't cite your sources for you, but I will try to give you resources to help you out. So, why are we studying the humanities? And right now, I'd like you to take a moment, pause the video, and Google why study the humanities. Okay, so now you've Googled the humanities, or you've Googled the question, why study the humanities? And you have found out that this is actually a pretty common question. Lots of folks are asking and answering this question. Not just academics like you and I, because when you're in a college course, you become an academic, but lots of people. And if you click on any of these articles down here, here's one by the Washington Post, here's one by the Atlantic, you'll find that there are actually lots of reasons why it's important to still study the humanities. So now I want you to take just a moment to pause the video and think about your connection with the humanities. And think about what it is you think about what the humanities are, what you thought about them before you maybe discovered that they encompass art, music, literature, film, etc. And maybe what you're thinking about the humanities now, 10, 11, 12 minutes into my lecture here. So here's what I think about when I take a minute to think about the humanities. Comic books, a mix of art and literature. When I was an undergrad at Cleveland State and I switched to an art major, I was actually thinking that I could someday be a comic book artist. I kind of took a different path after college, but comic books, they're a mix of art and literature. My house was built in the late 1940s. It's a Cape Cod style home, and it was one of the homes built shortly after World War II to ensure soldiers coming home from war and starting families had places to go. The economy picked up, and suddenly they needed housing for all of these people who had fought for the country and were suddenly experiencing economic prosperity. So my house is kind of a piece of that history. So the way in which houses are built, office buildings even, reflect culture at the time. TV and movies, television shows, films, commercials are a result of many different types of creativity. I think about the radio. Music is a blend of creativity. There are interesting sounds, storytelling. I'm not a musician myself, but I do enjoy music, and it gives me something. It affects how I'm feeling. It affects my thoughts, and it kind of puts me in awe of people who can create those types of sounds. And then photography. I think almost everyone in the world at this point, or at least everyone with a cell phone, has become a photographer in some way. Whether what they're posting online is artistic or not is another question, but everyone is taking photos and interacting in that way. So this semester, we're going to explore all kinds of things and not necessarily in chronological order. If you take an art history course, you will probably look at art through the years, so there will be some type of chronological order. But this is a survey course, So each week we're going to tackle a different area of the humanities. So we're going to explore things that are older, like the Mona Lisa. Many of us are very familiar with this. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the Renaissance master painters. We'll also look at things that are new. This is by Japanese artist Mariko Mori. This is titled Cycloid. It was created or released in 2014. It's made out of aluminum, paint, and lacquer. Very different experience than what we have with Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. And very briefly, I want to call your attention to my citations here. I have cited the artworks that I'm discussing. So feel free to use any of my citations, like here I've got Da Vinci, and I pulled this from a website. Feel free to use any of the citations that I use in my PowerPoints as a template for reference. Don't simply copy and paste mine because they're probably going to be different than yours. But again, here's an example, here's a resource for you. This course is going to be collaborative. So we're going to talk about things from the textbook. I'm going to contribute things. I will search through my texts and I'll search online to give you some supplementary material. And you guys are going to contribute as well through the discussion boards, through your photo journals. You are going to find material and hopefully share it with your peers. And I want you to feel free to discuss things that inspire and interest you. Don't be afraid to think outside of the box. Not everyone has the same taste in art, music, and literature, so don't be afraid to share, even if it's a little different than what everyone else is thinking. So humanities, we need to look at the root of the word humanities, and the root of that word is human. And I want you to take just a moment and think about what makes something artwork. When I was in undergrad, there were sometimes misconceptions about what art could be. Someone would say, well, art is subjective, so anything can be art. And so someone would make that claim when they would turn in an art project for critique by the full class, and it was clearly just done, very quickly, and it was kind of sloppy. They'd say, well, art is subjective. Yes and no. There's a reason why we think what Da Vinci did with the Mona Lisa is magnificent, and why we think maybe a stick figure drawn by a 5-year-old is cute. They're a little bit different. Both are interesting and really cool, but one is clearly a masterpiece, and one is more of an exploration. So with art and media, we are exploring and conveying the human experience. If a piece of art fails to do this, it maybe just scribbles, noise, mess, junk. It's not really worthy of some type of presentation. So we're going to learn how to look for a statement, a message. We're going to look for composition. All right, in this course, there are going to be a lot of terms that you are going to have to be familiar with. And to get you started, I have a few terms here. Some of these are in Spore, some of these are not. So, composition. Works of art, literature, and music are compositions and use composition to create something, meaning when something is composed, you put different things together to create a whole. It's the makeup of a piece of media. So this is my definition. There's another one in Spore in the glossary that you might find helpful as well. Formal criticism. Spore writes that this constitutes analysis that applies no external conditions or information. It is an attempt to explain a work's total formal aesthetic organization. So this is when you are introduced to something new. You don't know a lot about it, but you know what you see or what you hear, your initial impressions. And these are impressions that are informed by what you think makes something good or aesthetically pleasing. And now we have the word aesthetic. It's the appreciation of that which is beautiful. This term is often applied to art and other media when making judgments. So you're looking at the whole, you're forming an analysis, and you're determining, is it good? Is it beautiful? You're looking at things like form, contrast. You're looking at it on the whole. Some more terms. Contextual criticism. And Spore writes that contextual criticism is an approach that seeks meaning by adding to formal criticism an examination of related information outside the artwork. That information could be history, facts about the artist, culture, philosophies, other thoughts on the artist's work, and any thoughts or criticism related to the work. Some examples. Think about analyzing Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory through something written by Sigmund Freud. Or think about the Renaissance artist Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa and thinking about the historical context around it, the Medici family, and why they chose Da Vinci to write it. Or I'm sorry, to paint it. Style. This is the manner in which an artist may express him, her, or their self. Often artists will have a unique style that we can attribute to him, her, their self. For example, using Dali and Da Vinci again. Both were painters, but both had widely different styles affected by the times that they lived in, what other artists were doing, and the materials available to them. And then a more recent contemporary example would be Kanye West and Taylor Swift. Both are musicians. I like music from both artists, but they are both very different. They have very different styles. And then culture. And you guys are probably already familiar with culture. But think about it, start thinking about the ways in which groups grow in terms of producing art and innovation, and think about how art and culture feed into one another. All right, if you made it through to the end of the presentation, great. Just a quick note, please note that any sources that I used and cited in the PowerPoint I have listed here. I will hold myself to the same academic integrity that I hold you guys accountable for. And with that said, you can use my works cited pages, my in-text citations as guides and as examples. So if you have any questions about the format of those citations, let me know. And I will see you guys on the discussion boards. I'm looking forward to getting to know each of you.